Coffee is killing you.
Coffee.
Coffee has become an integral and super important part of our day-to-day lives. We drink it to start our day before we have to go to work or study, and even on our way to the gym to achieve that monstrous chest bump. It has also been proven to have amazing health benefits such as improved focus, retardation of brain diseases, cancer prevention, mood regulation, and of course giving us that almost addicting, energized feeling that we all need and pray for. But what if I told you that all of this is actually a big scam? What if I told you that coffee is making our lives a tiny bit worse every day, leading you and humanity into its impending doom? What if I told you that coffee is not a miracle drug? Okay, this was too serious, and this might be a hard pill to swallow or a hard coffee bean to swallow, and we will get to that. But firstly, let's see how coffee became this important and where the hell did it came from. And bro, grab a cup of coffee, get all cozy, and let's go cause we are going in deep. It all starts way back when, somewhere in Ethiopia in the 800s, yeah, this far away. And our protagonist is a farmer. When doing his farming routines, he noticed that his goats exerted a weirdly energetic behavior after the consumption of a specific red berry. Very intrigued and fascinated, he brings that berry to a nearby monk to show him his new discovery. That monk, afraid of the unknown and with fear that that berry was directly brought from the depths of hell, throws it in a nearby fire to get rid of it completely. The thing is, that berry, once it started burning, exerted a lovely, almost addicting smell. So much so that they took the burnt residue of the berry, mixed it with some hot water to try and taste that amazing fragrance, and thus, the first coffee was created. Well, this all seems pretty made up and no one really knows for sure. There are no physical records of this really happening, and there are more than one stories allusive to the beginnings of coffee. But one thing is true, coffee did in fact come from the Islamic regions, and it got very popular very rapidly there. As you are probably aware, alcohol isn't really that well accepted in those parts of the world, as the initiated say it's haram. So of course that a drink that could be drank in a social context without the fear of going to hell would get very popular very rapidly there, mainly one that gave you some type of superpower. You feel energy. You feel energized, focused. So because of that, the first coffee houses were created. Imagine that bar on your hometown that has drunken truck drivers that beat on their wives. Well, this was basically that, but instead of truck drivers that beat it on their wives, you had all types of people discussing all types of problems that also beat on women. Okay, I'm kidding, but women were in fact not allowed on those coffee houses. They were only for men, and men it was kinda sus, but that's their thing. Well, over time, coffee kept getting even more popular and it started migrating to Europe due to conflicts between countries, merchandising, slave trading, cool stuff in the good old days. Upon its arrival, and interestingly enough, having in consideration its amazing effects, its acceptance wasn't as easy as one might think. Back in the day, alcohol was very popular, really. Those bars with truck drivers that are drunken, that beat on their wives, those were everywhere. Everyone would drink alcohol from the moment they got up to the time of sleepy weepy, even the kids. So it was too damn deep in our society for it to change, really. So having a drink that came from the Islamic countries, that gave you some type of superpower, you don't feel drunken anymore, you feel hyped and focused, again, from the Islamic countries, in a population that, well, was like 99.999% Christian, wasn't really well seen. A drink from the devil, they said. But that would slowly change, and caffeine would start to be seen in different eyes, and people would start appreciating its amazing effects. Actually, it got so popular too that coffee houses, the same as on Islamic countries, would also come into play here. But this time was different. Instead of having coffee houses that were for everyone except for women, for people to discuss every single topic from science to just what they did on that day, like beating on women, coffee houses in Europe were for only, and I repeat, only the most intellectual, the big brains. Alcohol houses, bars, those are for the drunken truck drivers, for the people who want their brains slow and stupid. In those coffee houses, they would discuss the most divisive and important topics known to society. philosophy, science, politics. This time, how to deal with the truck drivers that beat on their wives. Actually, these coffee houses started appealing to so much intellectual people that they were given the name of invisible colleges, and a lot of intellectual minds such as Newton and his big brain friends went into those places of socialization to discuss the most very much super complex topics of the time. And all that scientific talk started mostly because of coffee and caffeine. Because coffee, it's a stimulant. It's not like alcohol who makes you, well, like this. No, it's a psychoactive drug. It makes you fire, it makes you think, and it makes you focused. It makes you focused. Caffeine is even directly involved in an intellectual movement called the Enlightenment, something that was very important, again, for the discussion of every single thing that we have today. And also, that Enlightenment, even if indirectly, promoted the Industrial Revolution, something that is also very important for today. But this story of coffee was focusing more on the utmost important echelons of society, you know, the scientists, the philosophers, the politicians. But what about the importance of coffee in me and you at the time, the Joe Schmo, the who cares person? Well, even those felt the amazing effects of caffeine. Now we can work overtime. We can just rest a couple of minutes, drink a cup of coffee and get right to where we left. But energized, we can completely ignore the natural side of the things, aka the sun, and drink coffee to make us stay awake and do night shifts. This was a game changer and society as a whole got a huge boost of productivity, kinda pleasing the governments along the way. You know, more productivity, more money, more likey for the people in charge. But why is that? How does caffeine have such an amazing effect on our bodies? How does it work, and how could you say that this is not a miracle drug? Like I said in the beginning of the video, I mean, coffee seems very, very cool to me. Everyone is awake, everyone is talking and discussing and doing big brain shit. So how could this be bad? Maybe if you let me finish, I would tell it to you. You know, I could explain it because I'm here to do it. And I can explain even better if you like. And subscribe. Done? Coffee and caffeine has a lot of benefits, truly. I focused more on the energized feelings, but new researches show us that we can find a whole array of good stuff, from cancer prevention all the way to mood regulation. And those are all cool, but I want to talk about the stuff that everyone craves. Why do we feel so hyped when we drink that damn coffee? This is your brain. Not really into scale, not really that well drawn, very complex, very cool organ. This is the subscribe button, something that you should click on, and this is Jeff. No one really cares about Jeff, but that's what it is. Also, I wanted this but bigger, but I couldn't find it, so this will have to do. Anyway, let's zoom in on the brain and get into the neurons. Also very cool, also very complex, and honestly, S tier when it comes to cells. The neurons have something called adenosine receptors, these things right here. And these adenosine receptors get activated and receive something called adenosine. It's written, it's here, this is adenosine. Again, not to scale, but who the fuck do you think I am? Adenosine in on itself is already a very cool compound, and it appears when the cells of our bodies burn their fuel, more precisely ATP. Let me just read here, right? Our body basically burns this throughout the day, giving us energy, and one of its subproducts is adenosine. So throughout the day, more and more adenosine builds up in your brain, and it links itself into those adenosine receptors. It goes here, it goes there, all of that throughout the day in a constant stream of building adenosine. And its primary function is to make us feel sleepy, to make us feel tired throughout the day. So as we burn more and more energy, more and more ATP, we feel more tired. It seems very much self-explanatory, and it makes sense, but what does caffeine have to do with any of that? Well, as it seems, caffeine, new marker, has a very similar chemical composition to adenosine. I'm gonna try to replicate it, but let's say it would be like this. Now, what happens here? This caffeine is going to link itself into those adenosine receptors instead of adenosine. So it goes there, boom, it links into the adenosine receptor, boom, it bonks the already placed adenosine and becomes literally the king of the hill. It's written here, it becomes the king of the hill. And so, you don't feel as sleepy because adenosine can't do its primary function, make you feel sleepy. Because yes, even if caffeine links into those adenosine receptors, its function, it's not to make you feel sleepy. It just goes there and it places himself there because caffeine is a bitch. Now, this is all very cool. Sure, you are not sleepy, you can live through your morning coffee, the world is great, we are the world, we are the people, yeah, happy face, look, you drink coffee, you become happy. Now, the problem arrives when that caffeine starts wearing off. Actually, it starts wearing off of your body after 4 to 6 hours. It's F-life. And when that happens, you are not going to be we are the world, we are the people anymore. Because what happens basically is that caffeine wears off. So what? Imagine caffeine was here. Caffeine was placed here. Bam, caffeine here, yo. Very cool, I'm not sleepy. But that caffeine then wears off. Yo, it wears off. But whilst on the effect of caffeine, more and more adenosine that couldn't place itself on the adenosine receptors, kept building up. So it kept building more and more adenosine here. And you know what happens when the caffeine wears off? All of the adenosine goes right into the receptors at once, and you feel super tired and you feel super bad, and you experience something called the afternoon crash. Yeah, that time where you felt sleepy throughout your afternoon and you didn't know why, that was caffeine all along. Your precious coffee made this happen. And what happens then? Well, you drink more coffee. After drinking more coffee, that caffeine, boom into the receptors, boom blocking the adenosine, boom boinking out the already placed adenosine. And what happens? Your body tries to go and place even more adenosine receptors to try and place the adenosine that is in your body. And what happens? The adenosine goes into those receptors and you become more sleepy. That's no good. That's no bueno. Boom, more coffee. You go there, boom, more coffee, always more coffee, always more coffee, always more coffee, and you become tired and you drink more coffee, and so it goes and so it goes, and you literally become a coffee zombie. Yeah. That's what most of you are. You're all just junkies. But this wouldn't be inherently bad. I mean, who cares? Just drink more coffee and you become less sleepy and it's all okay, it's all good. Problem is, as it seems, caffeine doesn't have only an effect when making you sleepy or not. No, it actually has an effect on the quality of your sleep itself. And as I said, its half-life is in between 4 to 6 hours. So it stays in your system for up to 12 hours after the ingestion of your caffeine, which is not good for the quality of your sleep. Actually, one little espresso shot, you know that espresso shot, very cool, that you drink? If you drink it in the evening, it turns out that this little espresso shot makes the quality of your deep sleep up to 20% worse. Comparing it to aging, that would be a 12 years of aging in your sleep alone. And that's not good. Actually, that's very far from ideal. And let me tell you something, you don't want to be sleep deprived, because sleep is super important. Truly, but unfortunately it is one of the most no one cares, put to the side physiological activities of our bodies. Eating, everyone loves eating. Pooping, I am the one who shits. F***ing, even your hand does the trick. But for some reason sleep is just, who cares? And I am one of those people. I mean, sleep is just a waste of time. I'm just there, existing. To sleep, I even need to pretend that I am sleeping. What the fuck? But we are slaves to it, and we kinda need to accept it. And not just the sleep itself. I mean, everything surrounding it, like the circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is quote-unquote your biological clock. It's the thing that tells you when to go to sleep, when to wake up. It dictates hormone release, which is directly correlated with higher depression and anxiety levels, a pretty important phenomenon that needs to be taken seriously. How? Sleep regularly, you moron.
Oh, but like, I don't need to sleep. I can go 5 hours of sleep time and I'm okay. And honestly, I can't really sleep that well.
Firstly, you can't go with 5 hours of sleeping. You will feel the consequences sooner or later. And secondly, I am here to help you sleep better. Wake up early, get some sunlight, exercise throughout the day, don't eat too close to bedtime, don't have shiny lights too close to bedtime, and also don't drink coffee past noon, and you are probably Gucci and you probably can sleep well. Because listen to me, and I want to emphasize, please sleep. You need to sleep well. You need to sleep. Because now I'm gonna tell you a story about the problems of no sleeping. one that happened in the late 1940s. Russians had created a super potent stimulant, one that could keep you awake for days. Pretty perfect for a war context. So they decided to experiment it on some prisoners of theirs, with the promise that they would be set free upon the ending of that experiment. 30 days of no sleeping. Okay, we are all cozy again. And so it started, 5 guys, 1 room, and that compound being administered in gas form throughout the days. The first 3 days were fairly okay, nothing really happened and they were pretty alright, until they reached the 4th and 5th night. They started talking about the horrors of war, whispering in the microphones, and just talking alone in the corners of the room. Some days after, psychosis started to rule that room. Violent acts could be watched and one of the subjects screamed so much that his vocal cords got completely teared out, making him produce a deeply uneasy squeaking sound. On day 15, that's where shit got loose. Literally. Scientists couldn't watch their behavior anymore because the inmates literally blocked the windows and the cameras with shit. They took their shit and blocked the cameras and windows. There was only one way in. The door had to be opened. And bro, the sight wasn't pretty. One of the prisoners dead with his organs completely spilled across the room. The other 4 deep self-made lacerations. Blood everywhere. Chunks of the bodies were spread across the room and you could hear their screams pleading for more of that gas, that they didn't want to get freed anymore. Once they saw that more of that gas wasn't coming on its way, they attacked the guards and scientists, killing 5 guards with the attack. During that attack, 1 of the prisoners died, and the other 3, not even anesthesia could put them down, even with hyperdoses. But they eventually got tied down and put into surgery to try and reconstruct their destroyed bodies. 1 of them died during the process. The other 2, one of them screamed and begged for more cuts, to get stitches, to get cut wide open because he wanted to feel more suffering. And the other one even tried to seduce a nurse. Go get him, Tiger. When the surgeries were made, the other one died because, well, lots of cuts, and the other one managed to escape to get his hands on more of that gas, killing 2 scientists along the way. And before getting put down for good by one of the scientists with a pistol, he got shot, he was on the ground, and the scientist asked what was he, why he was doing what he was doing. And so the creature answered,
"Have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal minds. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis. When you go into the nocturnal haven we cannot tread."
As the scientist shoots him, killing him once and for all, he hears,
"So nearly free."
Well, this all seems pretty made up and just a creepypasta rolling around in the interwebs, just like many others, but it could very well warn you about the importance and the need of sleep. Because yes, believe it or not, sleep is not just there to make you feel less tired and drowsy, no, it actually has deeply important stuff to make you literally be alive and functional in the society that we live in. And honestly, come on, if evolution wasn't able to get rid of such a dangerous state, one in which you are completely vulnerable, you could get killed by any animal or other human, and even with that, evolution wasn't able to get rid of sleep. So you fucking bet that sleep is here to stay, brother. And let's take the opportunity and let's break sleep down. Sleep can be divided in 3 different phases: light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep. Light sleep is that phase where you are in the limbo. You know, your body still perceives outside stimuli, you can easily get awake. It's just, you know, half dead, half alive, who knows, who cares, status of the body, and it's just a transition to the big boys, like deep sleep. Deep sleep is super important, and it is characterized by something called delta waves. Yeah, I just read about it. It felt like a cool name. Anyway, this phase is really important to a lot of things, such as organizing thoughts and the creation of long-term memories. Also, this is where your body really rests, because at this stage of your sleep, your body is essentially paralyzed. It's when you are completely out cold, that's that phase. Also, this is where you really rest your prefrontal cortex, a part of the brain that is really important in the making of decisions, in the making of emotional decisions. It's very important in your day-to-day lives, so you need to get some deep sleep. Really. Actually, there was a study done on rats where they basically were put in a little platform. I'm gonna write here, a little platform. This is a rat. This is a rat. And he was put on a little platform that was covered with water around it. So essentially, when the rat fell asleep and it reached the deep sleep phase where its body essentially got paralyzed, it just went out cold, he would fall into the water, waking him up. It turns out that that wasn't very good for the rats. These rats who didn't sleep properly died after only 11 days. 11 days of no deep sleep killed those boys. And to make it worse, they also got significantly increases in their stress levels, significantly increases in their aggression levels, and also decreases in their cognitive levels. These boys right here were essentially fucked, only because they didn't get into the deep sleep phase. But well, back on the other phase, and let's talk about my personal favorite, the dream sleep, the place where you dream, whoa, very cool. It's called the REM sleep phase, rapid eye movement, because it's characterized because when you are on that phase, your eyes literally just go fucking crazy and move all over the place. But yeah, this is really my favorite phase. This is where the fun happens. Actually, your brain is firing almost as much as it would if it was awake. And this is also the phase that still intrigues scientists the most. Because here's the question. Why do we dream? No, really, why do our brains start mixing random thoughts and sounds and ideas whilst in the middle of our half-dead, half-alive body status? Why waste energy on that? Well, we have little to no clue, but there are a lot of theories. We could be creating stories in our dreams, because since our brain is firing up, maybe creating new memories, maybe organizing thoughts, we just try to make sense of it all, and instead of our brain popping up random thoughts and random images and random sounds, it tries to make a story out of it. It tries to create a pattern, since our brains are really good and really want to create patterns. Actually, look at this image. You're seeing a face, right? Well, there's no face there. It's just your brain trying to recognize a pattern, a face, something called... Let me learn the name. It's a weird name. Something called pareidolia. It's our brain trying to make sense of this. It's our brain recognizing a pattern, which is a face, which is something familiar to us, and that's what we want. Familiar stuff. Stuff that makes sense. Anyway, others think that they are there because they have a meaning, exposing our deepest inner worries. Actually, big names in the scientific community believe that that is the case. One example of that is Freud, and for him, we have something like an hive mind, and every single person dreams and worries of the same stuff, and our dreams expose those stuff, and it's there to be uncovered. Well, there is also the threat simulation theory. Essentially, back in the good old cave days, we were getting harassed and fucked by other animals and tribes, so the guys who dreamt of those difficult times of being harassed were almost like being trained in their dreams and could better act when those situations arrived, opposed to those who didn't dream. Coupled to this, there is also the social simulation theory, where we could get mating advantages when we dream of our crushes doing... I'm no cool! Or even when you are naked in school. Our brain basically puts us in very difficult social situations so we can better fiddle around those situations and we can get some type of advantage off of that. Overall, a very difficult to uncover topic, but one thing we do know. Dreaming is directly involved in creative thinking and problem solving. That we do know. When people say, well, just sleep on it, it turns out that that shit actually works. Dr. August Kekule, a chemist from Germany, discovered the molecular structure of benzene, a very important compound in the making of dyes and preservatives and plastics, after literally dreaming of it. He dreamt of some snakes biting their own tails in a specific form, and he came out with the idea of the molecular structure. Isn't that amazing? To add on that, there is also a study done by Erwin Jan Wemsley at the Medical School of Harvard where They took some people and made them look at a virtual maze. Some of them went to sleep and some of them didn't, serving as the control group. The ones who went to sleep and dreamt of the maze did significantly better on solving it, opposed to the ones who didn't dream of it or who didn't sleep. So as you can see, REM sleep, and more precisely dreaming, has a direct impact in our day-to-day lives, and not just on making us feel well rested and with energy. No, it has literally a direct impact. We could solve something and discover something cool just because we slept and we dreamt. How fucking amazing is that? But now you might be saying, okay, mister, this is all very cool. Dreaming is cool, sleeping is cool and important, but what does that have to do with any of what you said in the video? Why is caffeine correlated with sleep? And why is caffeine killing me? Why is coffee killing me? I want to drink my coffee. That's why no one likes you. You don't listen, you don't wait for me to explain it to you. That's why no one likes you, man. Let's get to the explanation. Well, as you saw, and I talked, and I barely shut up, you now know some truly cool stuff. Really. Firstly, coffee can be great, sure. Alertness, mood regulation, a variety of other things. But it also has some bad points, such as fucking your sleep schedule, destroying your circadian rhythm. And you also now know that sleep and the circadian rhythm are very, very important and not to be messed with. So I guess you can take your own conclusions. You need to better regulate caffeine intake too. In one hand, get its positive effects, but on the other hand, control its negatives. But I think it goes much deeper than that. We live in a society that is getting more and more depressed and anxious every day. A lot of it due to what we are exposed to. Social media, hyperdopaminergic content, no rest to the brain, never wanting to be left behind, not wanting to live a non-stimulus existence. And then we add in coffee and sleep deprivation, which doesn't help a single bit. Actually, it makes it worse. Because now, on top of being depressed and anxious, we have built a society that is sleep deprived mostly because of being chronically caffeinated, which makes us even more depressed and anxious, which makes us sleep less, which makes us drink more coffee, and this all becomes a vicious and addicting cycle. It really sucks, but I mean, it kinda has to be that way. It's the society we live in, and it's the society we choose to live in. And let me tell you something, the government loves it. 24/7 active society. Consuming a beverage that literally feeds an industry that's like $200 billion a year. Consuming drugs for depression and anxiety that also feed an industry that's worth billions and billions of dollars every year. Of course that people in power would love it. And okay, maybe I'm being a little bit too dramatic and too Illuminati and too Andrew Tate, but I mean, that is probably the case. And of course, I'm not saying for you to not drink coffee. I mean, I drink it. I like it, so why shouldn't you? It also helps humanity improve itself. It also helps a lot of people every day. So of course I wouldn't tell you to not drink coffee or to quit coffee. That would be outrageous and stupid. But maybe, just maybe, we should think about it a little. Maybe we should be a little bit more self-aware, and instead of 5 cups a day, we should drink only 2, preferably before noon, to get a good night's sleep. And maybe we might improve our society a little. Maybe we can turn down the depression and anxiety a bit, and altogether, we could improve society bit by bit. Maybe we can all chill out and be all okay, and we are the world, we are the people, yeah, you know. What I'm trying to say with all of this is that you should make your own decisions wisely, with your own head. And maybe one of the decisions should be sleeping well, because that's really important. And if you really can, maybe don't spend 15 days without sleeping, or the crazy Russians might catch you. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you like me. And watch this video that YouTube is recommending. It's a cool video, I'm a cool guy, you are a cool guy, so, or a girl, or whatever. So, let's make a cool agreement and watch this, okay? Thanks a lot. Peace. Coffee zombies.